Thank you, Dr. Balasubramani, for intellectual and resourceful session. I think all the participants have enjoyed the basics of geoinformatics. Thank you very much. Now I invite Mr. Vijay Sawant sir to introduce the second speaker, Professor Sachin Panarkar sir. So please, Mr. Vijay Sawant sir.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I am V.G. Sawant, Assistant Professor, Department of Geography, YC Varna Mahavidyalaya, Varnanagar. Here I am introduce Dr. Panarkar sir, Professor and Head, Department of Geography, Shivaji University, Kolhapur. He has completed MSc degree in 2000 at Shivaji University, Kolhapur. He awarded PhD with a topic on rainwater harvesting and watershed management in the Dudhganga basin of Maharashtra. He attempted SET exam in Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune. He interested in research, watershed management, hydrological modeling, remote sensing, and geospatial informatics systems. He has 3-year undergraduate and 15 years postgraduate teaching experience. He has guidelines in 5 PhD students and awarded 1 student, and also guides to 60 students of MSc for research projects. He published 8 international and 20 international papers, and also he attended 9 national and 8 international conferences. He completed 5 research projects under University Grand Commission, Kolhapur, New Delhi. He completed 5 research projects under UGC, New Delhi, IASC and NRDMS, DST, New Delhi. He received a Best Paper Award in International Conference on Geospatial Technologies and Application at IIT Bombay. He also awarded fellowship in Summer Research of Indian Academy of Science and Bangalore. He has software knowledge, ARCGIS, ERDAS, HECRAS, HECHMS, ARCSWAT, ENVI, etc. He completed 5 training programs in NTMO, Kolkata, Department of Mumbai University, IIRS, Dehradun, National Water Academy, Center Water Commission of Government of India. He has published 3 books in geography. He is member of Deccan Geographical Society, Geospatial World, New Delhi, SRVC, Nashik, and Shivaji Vidyapit Bhugol Shikshak Sangha. He is also coordinator of PG Diploma Geoinformatics. She has also 5 papers are selected. She is international visits at and attended and participated in the Geospatial Union Regional Conference of Moscow at Russia. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all of you. I am Professor Sachin Panarkar, working at Department of Geography, Shivaji University, Kolhapur. And on the occasion of national webinar, which is being organized by Yashwantrao Chauhan, Varna Mahavidyalaya, Varnanagar, I am interacting with you all. I am very much grateful to the organizing committee. They have given this opportunity to interact, and the topic which they have selected, that is also quite challenging one. What kind of geoinformatics applications we are having with respect to disaster management? And I would like to keep the little bit work which we have carried out at the departmental level through the NRDMS project. I'm very much grateful to Principal Chikudekar sir, as well as Head of the Department Raut sir, as well as all the other faculty members of the department, as well as the member of the organizing committee, that they have given this opportunity to interact with you all and to share the little bit work which we have carried out at the departmental level. Thank you. Now I will share my presentation with you all. Thank you. I have selected and on this topic which I am working on for the last 3-4 years. So when we are talking about the Kolhapur flood in 1989, also we have faced the flood situation in 2005 and in 2019. Quite recently, in the last year also we have seen. When we have the flood, at that time we are talking about all those things. That is the disaster management. That what kind of preparedness, mitigation, response and recovery that is basically required to manage the flood, and what kind of dimensions we may have. It is being said that when we had the flood, it shows that what kind of mistakes which are being carried out by the human beings. Flood highlights the mistakes which is being done on the name of development and all that. So we have to analyze this phenomena very scientifically, and to maintain the harmony between the man and nature for the sake of sustainable development, which is much more important. So these are the questions which I have posed in front of all of us when we are talking about this phenomena. In fact, at the world level as well as at the national level, the flood is the most dominant disaster with respect to the damage is concerned. And what is being observed, that the phenomena of the flood or the frequency of this phenomena that has enhanced over the period of time. It is increasing. Earlier we may have flood once in 100 years of that severity, but now the frequency has increased. We may get one flood of that severity after 25 years or 5 years, we can't say. So whether it is a natural or the anthropogenic factors which are basically responsible for that. Another important thing is that how much the haphazard development is responsible for the flood. At one end, we are talking about the smart city and all that, and what we can see at the time of monsoon, all these smart cities are inundated. So what kind of planning we are doing? We are not considering all the factors. The risk is not being assessed properly. Another question which is much more important, that is, can we control the flood? Is it possible to control the flood? In the developed countries also, they may face the same kind of situation. We can see that is in Japan, much more developed country like USA. They are also struggling with the flood phenomena. In China also, quite recently we have seen. So what can be done? Now, when we had the Kolhapur flood situation, we had much more discussion about the Almaty Dam. That the Almaty Dam is basically responsible for the flood phenomena and all that. So regarding to that also, I would like to give our opinion regarding to this issue, and how effective is reservoir management to control the flood. Maharashtra ranks first with respect to the number of major minor dams, the irrigation projects. But even though we are struggling with the flood and somewhere the reservoir management is not proper, so how we can tackle such type of issues? So these are some of the questions, and regarding to that, my presentation would try to highlight all those points. The national scenario, if we are going to see that, what we can find, that is 1/8 of the geographical area is flood prone, and another analysis which is being carried out by the expert, what it shows, that the flood prone area, that is also increasing day by day. The Indo-Gangetic Plain area as well as the Assam Valley, then the West Bengal region, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, as well as various parts of Madhya Pradesh as well as Maharashtra, they are flood prone. The damage, this is the most dominant disaster if we are going to consider the damage caused by the natural calamities. That is, at the world level, flood is responsible for 32% of the damage, and in India ranks basically second after the Bangladesh with respect to flood events. So we have to take this disaster very seriously. We have to manage it properly. What kind of scenarios, what kind of the dimension it is having, and how we can control, how it should be properly assessed, simulated, and what kind of proper solution we can provide for the problem, so that we can curtail the loss due to crops, houses, as well as the public utilities, that can be curtailed. So these are some of the photographs of the last flood in 2019. What we have observed, basically in Kolhapur district, 133 villages are flood prone, as well as the urban areas of the Kolhapur city was also quite severely affected because of the flood. You can see through these photographs, the things are very much clear. Most of the city area was marooned, as well as the village areas. So this is the study area which we have selected, and this is the Panchganga basin, which is of 2,500 square kilometer. And for the flood routing, we have selected, that is the specific area which you can see here. I would like to highlight. So this is the study area of 615 square kilometer, which we have selected along the Kolhapur city, and the analysis which is being carried out. In this project, what we did, we have simulated two things we have carried out. That is the one thing, that is the flood risk assessment. That is, in which part, that how much the risk is basically associated with that we did. Another thing is that we also did the simulation of the flood phenomena and the validation which is being carried out by the HECRAS model. So regarding to that, I would like to show you some of the results. So this is the database which we have used. These are the Cartosat images of 2.5 meter resolution. This database, these are the stereo pairs, and this database which we have used to generate the digital elevation model, because the inputs of the flood simulation are very crucial. This is the LIS4 image, which is having the resolution of 5.8 meter resolution. Resource data we have used. Third one, which is much more important, that is, this is the radar set data. it is of 2005 as well as 2019 also. We have used to assess the flood phenomena. This is the geospatial. So regarding to the flood risk analysis, this flow chart is quite crucial when we are talking about the risk. What is mean by risk? That is the probability. It is the result of probability and consequences. What kind of probability we may have in any area, and what would be the consequences. So for that sake, these are the four layers which we have used. These are the four criterias which we have implemented in the analysis. That is the first one, that is some of the topo sheets as well as the Bhuvan data we have used to to assess the road as well as in the form of infrastructure. Then Cartosat and LIS4 data fusion technique we did, and land use land cover information we extracted. Then RadarSat data, which is processed, some of the pre-processing techniques which are being used, rectification, thresholding, and water layer has been extracted. Then Cartosat data, which we used to generate the elevation zones. And all this information we have used and multi-criteria techniques of the GIS we applied, and through that we did the flood risk analysis. So this is the DEM which we have extracted by using the data. I don't want to go much more detailed in the methodology. This is very common methods to so that we can use the Cartosat data, and through that the DEM model can be generated. So generally, what kind of inputs when the flood simulation studies are being carried out? The input data, the accuracy of the input data is basically required. If you are having the less accurate data, it will basically hamper your result. Much more limitations would be there. One of the input, that is the topographical data. Now, this Cartosat data will give you the accuracy up to 6 to 7 meter. Instead of that, if we have used the LIDAR data, we might have got the accuracy of 1 centimeter up to 1 centimeter, and the result may be, as well as the accuracy would be much more higher regarding to that. So this study is definitely having certain limitations when we are talking about the what kind of input those are basically used in that. As I have mentioned, that is the risk is the result of probability and consequences. From the probability point of view, we have considered two parameters, that is the flood inundation map, which we have prepared by using the RadarSat image, which is this is the most authentic data with respect to flood. So this we have used to find out the inundation of 2005 year. We have got this image, and accordingly the flood inundation mapping we did. Here you can see this is the Bhogavati river, and this is the Kasari river, and here you can see this is the Kolhapur area. This is the Panchanga river, which is flowing in, which is having the meandering course. Here is Itsalkaranji. Those persons who are familiar with this area, they may have the better idea regarding to this. So this is the Kolhapur city, this is Rankala and all that. This is the elevation zones. These are the elevation zones which are being demarcated by the Cartosat data. This is the land use land cover map which is being prepared by the RadarSat, and this is the infrastructure detail. In infrastructure, we have considered national highway, state highway, district roads, village roads, which are being considered. So the two parameters we have used as the probability, that is the elevation zones, they define the probability, as well as the inundated area. So these two parameters we have considered as the probability, and for the consequences, what would be the result where the risk is much more. So that you can see, that is it we have given, that is the infrastructure as well as the land use, land cover. So two, three methods we have used for the to define the weightage. In that, the ranking methods, here it is very simple method, and on the basis of rank we can find out the weights. So here you can see the first rank which is being given for the flood, and for the other layers, rest of the ranks which are being given, and accordingly the weights are being defined. Rank for the flood layer, we have got the highest weight, that is 0.4, and accordingly you can see that in Kolhapur city area, as well as the study area which we have selected to find out the flood risk, the red color shows the high risk, as well as the blue color shows that is the low risk areas. And accordingly you can see, I would like to highlight some of the areas, that these areas, they are having the much more higher risk. Why is it so? Because here the settlements are being constructed. This area we are bringing under development, and because of that the risk has increased quite severely over here. So such type of analysis is very crucial when we are at the time of flood also, that what kind of risk we may have, what kind of strategy for the response and recovery should be given, and all that. Or the with respect to development plan also, such type of maps, if we can overlay the development plans with respect to the flood risk analysis, then we can find out and we can do the zonation and all that. So such type of analysis which is being carried out. Another method which is being used, that is the analytical hierarchical process. Uh, in this method, what is being done, we can do the comparison, the pairwise comparison of all the parameters which is being carried out, and the consistency ratio is also being maintained, and through this method we can give the proper weightage, that is flood layer with elevation, flood layer with other layers, as well as the all the layers with each other, such type of comparison which is being done. And regarding to that, the final weightage we have got here, you can see here that flood layer has got the highest weightage, that is 47.8%. Elevation has got 25.6%. So such type of analysis which is quite crucial. And we did also the comparison to find out that which method is much more appropriate, and accuracy assessment we did. We have cross-checked this data with 2019 flood scenario, and what we find that is the AHP has got the better result as compared to the other areas. So such type of analysis is very crucial for the disaster management, as well as for the development plan also. When we are going to consider the risk of flood, accordingly the development plan should be prepared, so it will give us the better idea regarding to that. Then the next important task which we have completed in this project, that is the flood simulation of 2005 event. So for that sake, this is the flow chart which is being developed, Cartosat data which we have used, and through that the topography which is being generated, and the same data which is also used to generate the geometric details. We have collected some of the data from the irrigation departments as well as the other agencies, and through that the discharge water level data which we have collected. Then from the satellite data, we have generated land use land cover map, and manning values are being defined, which is the one of the important input for the HECRAS model. Then the radar sat image data which we have used, and through that the flood inundation mapping which is being carried out. So here you can see that as this way the HECRAS model which is being generated. So here the flood routing, or it is also being called as the channel routing. In channel routing, what is being carried out, that at any location we can define the flood hydrograph by defining the boundary conditions. So as this were the boundary conditions which are being defined, and so I would like to share with all of you that how the work is being carried out in HECRAS. So regarding to that, so this is the HECRAS model, which is having such type of graphical interface. I don't want to go much more in detail. I would like to show you the final result, that what we did. So as this way the geometric data which is being generated, here you can see the cross section on each river, and you can also do the editing and all that. The manning values also you can put here. Then from here we can run for the steady flow as well as the unsteady flow. We can run this model for the steady flow. If the fluid parameters will remain as it is, then we can use the steady flow. If they are going to change over the time, then we can go for the unsteady flow. So for the steady flow, this model we first of all run. As this way we run the model, and you can see that this is the final result of the model for any wind that we want to see, that what kind of the scenario we may have. So accordingly we may run this model, how much the inundation will take place, which area will be inundated. So for the steady flow as well as the unsteady flow system analysis that can be carried out. So as this way we can get the final result after the simulation for any event which we can run. So this is for the as per the alert level, how much the area will be inundated. So this result you can see this as per the now for 8th August 2020 we run this model, and how much the inundation that has taken place also. So such type of study is very useful for the preparedness purpose as well as at the time of response also. And we can also assess the whether any backwater effect we may have over there, and what kind of measures should be adopted, whether we should go for the structural measures, non-structural measure, in which area the embankment should be created so that we can protect the some of the strategic locations also can be protected and all that. So for that such type of studies are very crucial. You can see here basically it is quite difficult, that is simulation study is quite easy, but to validate the model and what kind of the natural phenomena of the flood accurately up to 100%, it is quite challenging task. So what we did the comparison, what the result we may have through the simulation with the radar sat output image, and this for the same time of at that time when the radar sat has captured that phenomena, for that phenomena we have modeled this event, and what we find that it has got the accuracy up to 75% only. Because of the inputs, what kind of inputs which we have provided, on that basis the accuracy is being defined. If we give the better input, the accuracy may be increased. Another issue at the time of project, what we have observed that the floodline demarcation is not proper. You can do the comparison. This is the red line, which shows the highest water level at the time of 2005 flood phenomenon. So this is red light, which is being shown here. The as per the radar sat image, which actually give the scenario of the flood, that we have that water level which is being demarcated over here, and when we do the comparison, that both the phenomena are uh, quite different, that they are not this layer is not properly, this line is not properly demarcated, you can see here. So the floodline demarcation work should be carried out much more appropriately. For that sake, the simulation studies will be very crucial, and the highest accuracy, the lidar data should be used for the topographic information. And with that respect, if the simulation study which are being carried out, so the floodline demarcation would be much more easier. And if we can overlay the floodline on the development plan, so accordingly the development can be done, so we can maintain the harmony between the nature and humans, and the losses can be curtailed. So for that sake, the floodline demarcation should be proper, and the common man, they should have the idea that where is the floodline. That because what happens when we had the flood, at that time the all the peoples are very sensitive about the flood, but when the flood is over, the same kind of scenario of the development, haphazard development, that is going on, and which creates much more problems in future. So this is the inundation mapping with the radar sat image, and you can clearly see that which area is much more susceptible for the flood, and where the precaution should be taken. And that when we are talking about the flood zonation, so the proper flood zonation should be carried out. This area, all these areas should be uh, basically considered as a no development zone, and accordingly the development plan should be prepared. Now I would like to share with you what the comparison which is being done. Now I would like to show you this video, that what we did, that we did the comparison, that is what kind of scenario we had in 2005, and how what kind of phenomena of flood which we have observed as per 2019. You can do the both the images are of radar sat, and we did the overlay analysis. Here you can see this is the flood scenario of 2005. How much area which is being inundated, you can see. These are the tributaries of the Panchganga river, Bhogavati, Tulsi, Kumbhikasari, and this is the Panchganga river. Here is the Kolhapur city area, and this is the confluence zone. Here is the Krishna river, and it is meeting here at the confluence. You can see here that is the flood of 2019, that was the most devastating, because what we were considering, that is of 2005, was once in 100 year. But what kind of scenario we have experienced of 2019, that was the most devastating, and it has inundated the much larger area as compared to 2005. So that also we can see here. Now another thing which is being discussed, that is for the Sangli as well as the Kolhapur flood phenomena. we made responsible Almaty Dam, what we can find that because of the radar sat image, we get the clear idea that what kind of scenario of the flood, in which part, where is the backwater effect, and all that can be observed uh, from the local level as well as the overall scenario of the flood data can also be seen. Here the Almaty Dam is located. Unfortunately, this image won't cover the Almaty area and all that. It is only that much area it is being covered. But here what we can see, here is the Kolhapur, here is the confluence zone, here is the Sangli, and what is being observed that at the confluence zone, the backwater effect which is being observed, we couldn't see that is the dam which is 200 kilometer away from this confluence area, which may not be responsible for that, even though for system analysis much more simulation work that is basically required by covering whole the Krishna basin. And regarding to that, all the KTVS and all that, when we are going to consider, as well as the all the parameters which are being considered, and through that we may get the real scenario. But we don't think that the Almaty Dam is basically responsible for that. And what is at the confluence zone, what is being observed here with this diagram, I would like to show you that this is the area I'm showing you, and here you can see the much more inundation that has taken place because of here. From here the Krishna river is flowing, and this is the confluence zone at Kurundwad. This Panchganga river is meeting with the Krishna river, and here you can see the backwater effect is being generated because the Krishna river, it is flowing and it is having the higher gradient, it is having the higher discharge also as compared to the Panchganga river, and at the acute angle this Panchganga river meets with the Krishna river, so this water won't, the Krishna river water won't allow the water of Panchganga river to let in, and because of that here in this Kurundwad area the inundation that has taken place, so which is being observed here. Another important factor which is also being considered, that is most of the time we have discussed how much the discharge of the Radhanagari and all that. So for that sake, if we are going to see the overall, that is the total area of the Panchganga river up to the that is the confluence zone up to Krishna, which is being considered. So it is around 2,511 square kilometer area, and out of that, what we can see, that is only from the dam catchment water is coming, that is only 12%, and from the free catchment 88% area is over there. So when we had the flood, definitely the higher amount of rainfall which is being received during the July as well as the August period, which is 6 to 12 times more than the normal rainfall. And as in the catchment area of the Panchganga, only 12% is the dam catchment and the 88% is the free catchment. So we don't have the control on this area. Of this area, we don't have the control. Kumbi, Kasari, some of the minor dams are there, but most of this area is the free catchment. So we don't have the control over here. Only the Radhanagari and Tulsi Dam is there, and which basically covers only the 12% area. So because of that, the heavy rainfall during the last 2 weeks of July as well as the first weeks of August we have experienced, which was more than 6 to 10 times more than the normal rainfall, and because of that, as we don't have the control the flood that has occurred, and for that sake it is not possible to uh, uh, make responsible the Radhanagari Dam. But instead of that, what is being done, that is the how much the water we are going to release from the Koina as well as the Varna Dam, how much water we may have in the Krishna. Before that, if we are going to release the water of the Radhanagari, and we can see that is such type of reservoir management, if it is being practiced, what would be the impact on the flood. So such type of analysis is very crucial. The same kind of watershed prioritization which is being suggested here, that most of the area, if you are going to see here, that is the degradation of forest that has taken place. So much more runoff which is being generated in those areas. The forest cover is diminishing very fastly. So here the forestation program should be implemented, and because of that, much more runoff. And if the intensity of rainfall is much more, the runoff would be much more generated. For that sake, also the ArcSWAT related work of the runoff rainfall and runoff assessment should be carried out, so that we get the better idea about this scenario, and we can suggest the proper measures for that sake. By considering some of the parameters of the morphometry system of watershed prioritization, which is being suggested by land use, land cover, and all that. And we have also suggested that in the catchment of the Kumbhikasari should be given the higher priority with respect to soil and water conservation work. And this in this area, the afforestation program should be implemented, so that the runoff would be curtailed and the groundwater recharge may be enhanced. So such type of work is being carried out. Now the last question I would like to pose here, and that is, can we control the flood? And what can be the further scope for the study we may have? So when we are talking about the local problems for the Kolhapur flood as well as the Sangli flood, so we have to consider that what are the dams which are being constructed, what would be the impact, and how we can do the better reservoir management regarding to that, so that at the time of the flood, the water should not be released. So such type of impact should not be there. Then what would be the land use land cover change impact on runoff? Such type of analysis for the catchment area should be carried out for the Krishna as well as the Panchganga basin. Such type of analysis can be done. Proper demarcation of flood line should be done, and those flood lines should be also marked on the development plan as well as on the ground, so that the common man they may have the idea. The backwater effect as well as the diversion channel study should be carried out, because in Kolhapur also we have seen that is the impact of the Jayanti Nala as well as the backwater effect which is being created. So because of that also, the most of the urban area is basically inundated. Another thing is that the effect of Almaty Dam should be properly studied. The effect of sedimentation also can be carried out, and we can generate the real-time flood management system through that. We can not thoroughly control the flood, but the mitigation measures can be adopted and the losses can be curtailed. So I'm very much grateful to once again all the participants that they have shown interest in this lecture, and I'm also very much grateful to all the organizing committee members for giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.